gonna start this webinar because welcome at the webinar, Preparing for Sustainability Reporting Without a Consultant. I am curious, can everybody put in the chat whether you're a consultant or whether you're looking for, well, how to do it without a consultant? Because I'm quite curious if people like just curious, like, hey, are you going to say that consultants are not needed anymore, or just like, hey, I want to do it because I don't want to be involved with a consultant. So what are we going to do today? Well, I'm going to tell you a bit about Move to Impact, of course, because, well, why are we the ones hosting this webinar? And the CSRD, which is a regulation that is, well, promoting sustainability reporting, so also good to refer to that. Then dive into the European Sustainability Reporting Standards. I'm going to explain a bit about obligatory stakeholder engagement, think about like how to collect data across your organization, and eventually we will talk about like how to set up the sustainability reporting process without a consultant. And of course, we promised you a demo of our tool, how to do it as well, so that will also be included. So I'm going to take you along this ride. So first of all, about Move to Impact and CSRD. Well, who are we? We are a team that exists of sustainability and data consultants because you need them both in order to set up sustainability reporting. When people think about sustainability, they often think about like tree huggers or like just talking about the environment, but we are really into the how to combine business, sustainability, and data together to well, make a positive impact. We offer tools and training where we create tools that are useful in your process of setting up reporting, sustainability reporting. And we offer training such as a certified sustainability reporting manager program that starts every 2 months. So if you're also interested in that, the next one is going to start in March. So please feel free to reach out. Our clients are companies that want to set up their sustainability reporting, consultants that want to help organizations set up sustainability reporting, and auditors that need to audit their CSRD report. So we are quite familiar with everybody's needs in the well, how do you call it? Sustainability reporting industry. We did that at several organizations where we helped them ourselves to become, well, start a sustainability reporting journey, or trained consultants to do it. Well, like I said, the auditors. So there's like a small selection of our clients, but well, we have more, but we didn't feel like put every logo on there. Okay. Preparing for sustainability reporting, how does that work? Well, we saw that a lot of organizations don't see the bigger picture. They just look at the report and like, okay, we don't know what to do. So what we did, we set up an 8-step, 8 phases method where we take you along in from A to the, well, from project preparation towards the final report. And I now want to take you along in these 8 phases. Because the first phase is all about the project preparation. And this is about setting up the project team, making sure that the management or the board or the C-level, how you call it in your organization, is informed about, well, the sustainability reporting requirements and what is needed in order to set this up. So it's really about like preparing the organization, making sure there are like people available that can support in that, and that there is like motivation to work on this. Then we go to the current company KPI phase. This phase is all about seeing what's already there in the organization. Do you already have a social vision? Do you already have a ecological vision? Like, how is the organization currently reporting? Is it just the finance department that is reporting, or are there like multiple organizations that already send up like a management report to the board? Then it's also about like already talking to IT. Where are we going to put the data later? Because of course, sustainability reporting is about reporting about data and about like having a narrative of what's really happening. And well, IT needs to facilitate this. And you see that often they are included very late in the process. However, I think everybody's aware that an IT project always takes time because there needs to be thought about the IT infrastructure. So we recommend to have this conversation with the IT manager as early as possible so that they are prepared and can already think of, okay, how are we going to handle this as an organization? Then we dive into the double materiality analysis. This is one of the requirements according to the sustainability reporting regulation. And it requires you to do analysis with external stakeholders. So you cannot just do it internally in the boardroom. And what is the impact of the organization on planet and society, but also what is the impact of what's happening on the planet and in society financially on the organization. So in the double materiality analysis, you're gonna look for risk, opportunities, and the impact topics to see, okay, what are the topics that our organization has impact on. Furthermore, you need to think about like, okay, those risks, how are we going to mitigate them, and how are we going to monitor how we if we mitigate them in a successful manner. So therefore, also thinking about strategically for the organization, how are we going to handle the impact that we have on planet and society. After the double materiality analysis, we dive into the ESRS requirements phase. And this is because the double materiality analysis is going to show the impact of the organization and also which part of the European Sustainability Reporting Standards you have to report on. So you don't have to report on everything, only the parts that your organization has impact on. So that's why the double materiality analysis is so important. So when you identified which ESRS, European Sustainability Reporting Standards, are legit for your organization, you're going to start the data collection preparation phase. And this is quite a preparation because now you need to include more people in the organization to collect data since they know best whom to contact, because it's not just data that you're going to find within the organization. You often have to ask your suppliers, and maybe your suppliers have to ask their suppliers as well. So it's going to be quite a hassle to arrange this. What is very important in this phase is that you talk about data definitions, because asking data within your organization can already be quite a challenge, let alone asking it outside of your organization. If you're in the organization always talking about like headcount, like just whole persons, but another organization is always talking about FTE, like full-time equivalent, and you're exchanging this information, it may be the case that you get different data than you were expecting. The same with like if some apply kilograms or grams. It's very important to be super clear on what you want, because it can make quite a difference in the results. By setting up all the preparation process, it's all about like who's going to collect what, and also where are we going to collect this. And that's also when IT comes back into the party and saying, okay, did they already think of where to put the data, or are they still working on something? Because then you're really going to start the data collection. However, in the 6th phase, the continuous data collection phase, you're immediately going to think about, okay, maybe we did this now once just in this way to set it up, but we are not going to set up a working group every year for the sustainability report. We need to make this part of the business as usual, like the normal working day. Who is going to do this in their operational processes? So in the continuous data collection phase, you're going to look at how can we automate data collection as much as possible, or really make it part of someone's job description, part of the daily business. Then we dive into the impact dashboard phase. Why? Because the sustainability reporting regulation asks for how do you as management team monitor the impact that you have? Well, we do this with social and environmental KPIs that you're going to make equally important as your financial KPIs. And of course, financial KPIs are always important, but that you at least show to the auditor later that you are frequently looking at sustainable KPIs as well. This can be done through like an automated dashboard, or maybe monthly or quarterly PowerPoint slides with the report on how those KPIs are doing, but that there is frequent monitoring and not just once a year for the CSRD report. And then we get to the CSRD report, as in the final phase of preparing for a sustainability report. This is about getting everything together, creating the narratives around the data that you collected, but also tagging. Since the European Commission wants people to tag the information so it can be comparable, and that they can also make a estimate of how much CO2 is being emitted in certain countries, industries, and probably they want to steer on that later as well. I'm curious, are there any questions on these 8 phases for now? No? Okay, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I will answer them during this webinar. So in a way, these 8 phases can be divided up in 3 stages: the design stage, the implementation stage, and the reporting stage. We call it the design stage because there it's all within the organization. Okay, you're going to ask your stakeholders for the materiality analysis, but it's more about making, seeing what needs to be in the report eventually. Well, in the implementation stage, it's all about like setting it up in the organization and implementing the data collection processes. And in the reporting stage, it's all about like reporting. So either reporting about like the sustainable KPIs in the impact dashboard phase, or reporting like the results in the CSRD report. I see 2 questions. Can you clarify on what happens at the impact dashboard stage? In that stage, it's mainly about sitting down with the management team. Okay, what are going to be those measurable objectives that we are going to report on, as in hosting workshops of what they think is important and how to monitor that, seeing can we automate it or do we do like manual reporting. It's all about the identification of the sustainability KPIs. And Christine, yeah, the slide deck will be shared later. Then we dive into the ESRS, the European Sustainability Reporting Standards. I don't know if people already saw these, but the European Financial Reporting Advisory Group, the EFRAG, worked very hard to create a set of reporting standards similar to the IFRS, the International Financial Reporting Standards. And these are set up in general, I always call them books, although it's like if you print it, it would be like a 264 pages for all of them, and depending on which category, a small book. But the first one, the ESRS 1 and the ESRS 2, are the more general ones. Like ESRS 1 doesn't give you any reporting requirement, it just gives you the rules of the game, as in, this is how we want to see the report, this is where we want to set it up, these criteria are important. What do we mean with midterm, long-term, short-term? Just, like when you start playing a game, you also first read the rules. Or you start playing and then later go back to the rules because you didn't get it. So, in a way. Then ESRS 2 is the first one that really asks you to describe things. And then you can think about, okay, how is the management team, how are responsibilities set up in the organization, what's the business model, the value chain, how did you conduct the materiality analysis, what were the results of that? So that's more like the, general description of, hey, this is our company and this is how we do it and what's the impact that we have. So no matter what, you always have to report on ESRS 2. But based on the double materiality analysis, you're going to look into the environmental, the social, and the governance books, where there are several topics like climate change, pollution, water, marine resource, biodiversity and ecosystems, and resource use and circular economy for environment. And these are also all divided up in subtopics. So we always recommend do the materiality analysis based on the subtopics. Why? Because if you can show that you are not having full impact on all the subtopics of the standard, you don't have to report on the full book. So minimize the amount of workload. So based on the materiality analysis, some topics came out, and then you have to report on those. So then you pick the impact topics, risk and opportunities. It's what IRO means, impact, risk and opportunities. On the sustainability matters. And then the reporting disclosures in these books tell you what you need to do. You have to describe your policy. You have to describe the actions you're taking on this sustainability matter. You're doing metrics, as in, okay, explain the data, report about the data, be open. How did you define this data? That's also why I was so like, hey, be careful with the data definitions. But also, what are the targets you set as an organization? So in a way, it really gives you the open way of, okay, this is how you need to report on it, based on the materiality analysis, reporting requirements from the ESRS, and then it's time to move on. But how do you do this double materiality analysis? Like I said, it is important that you not just decide for yourself, but that you have like stakeholder engagement. So you have to ask external stakeholders on the input. So first, you're going to select stakeholders, as in, okay, what are the stakeholders of the organization, but also whom are we going to approach? And it's very important to think of every stakeholder, not just the ones in your supply chain, not just your clients or your suppliers, but also maybe the end users or the community living around your factory. They may feel impacted by your business as well. Then you're going to decide which survey topics are you going to send to them. And that's recommended based on the ESRS subtopics so that you can filter them out later. Well, then you're going to collect survey results, analyze them, and see which topics you want to dive deep into. As in, maybe you want to do interviews, focus groups, but have more like qualitative sessions because you really want to know what are the risks and opportunities related to these topics. Well, what you can do, like we created a survey tool, which can be seen on our website, our double materiality analysis tool, where we ask the stakeholders of like the organizations that are preparing for sustainability reporting, like what influence does the company have on the topic? How important is it? Like having qualitative possibilities to add to the answers, but also what's the influence financially on the organization? And when you think about like ESRS subtopics, you can think about the diversity, waste management, training and development, energy consumption. Like sustainability is broader than just your emissions. Later, like how to analyze your survey results, we created a dashboard which makes it very easy to see all the insights and also show to your auditor like, hey, in a data-driven way, this is why we picked these subjects to continue in our investigation for the materiality analysis. Also the possibility to filter per stakeholder group so that you really see like, oh, okay, so our clients think this about us, but our suppliers think that about us. So that you can also, in mitigating the risks, see which stakeholder group feels most involved on these topics. Well, when you did the data collection, now you know which ESRS books you're going to report on. Time for data collection. And this is the hard part, they say, because it's not something you can easily just, finance data is quite easy since we all have invoices, but Related to environmental topics or social topics, we don't have the typical invoices, so we really have to ask each other for input on this. So how are you going to prepare your organization for the data collection? First, you're going to look at all the data you need to collect. Like maybe there are like sector standards or certifications your company is working on. Maybe clients also are preparing for the sustainability report and have a request for data, but also the ESRS and other laws. Maybe there are a lot of sustainability laws coming up asking for, okay, how are we going to prepare? So eventually, by making all those indicators on one big pile of data collection requirements, we always say then you have the golden list of requirements, but this is meant to be like everybody in the organization has to help with collecting data for the golden list of requirements. What is important? You're not going to do this just with the project team. You're gonna need multiple people outside of the organization. So we always say like set up working groups, present your plan to C-level, as in, hey, we're gonna use some time from everyone. Like, are you okay with this? Do you think it's important as well? Because nothing is more annoying than really motivating working groups to collect data and then someone from C-level coming in as in like, why are you doing this? This is not important. Mixed messages, so everybody should be aligned. Especially IT, because they have to tell the working groups where to put the data. Well, then we're gonna create a planning as in, okay, when are we going to make which KPIs are more important than the others? Which one do I think take longer? Maybe we should start earlier with those because then, yeah, we have the data also in time. But it's also important that you think about like, okay, how are we going to organize this? Because multiple people are going to work on this project. Okay, how to set up a portfolio to monitor how is every KPI doing. Well, and then it's still important to keep re-evaluating your golden list of requirements because maybe things change or clients suddenly come up with like super important ones. So it really takes time to properly organize the data collection, and not just time to collect the data, but also time to organize it. And we often see that someone, well, gets this job as in, okay, do it next to your job to coordinate this, and it's always too long because people are going to ask questions. IT may have some issues. People need to be informed, so don't also underestimate the amount of time this takes. But how are we going to set up the sustainability reporting process without a consultant? Because as you hear, I'm saying it's quite a lot of tiny steps, responsibilities, well, informing others. So what we created is a do-it-yourself program with the virtual CSRD consultant. And this is like a structured online program, which is like step-by-step guidance. And if you have questions, our team supports you with like, okay, how to do it, because, well, maybe sometimes you have a question, and there are a lot of templates included. And why are those templates important? Because you need to set up an audit trail. And an audit trail is kind of your evidence for the auditor that what you eventually put in the report did really happen. So all those tiny decisions that you made or like documents are quite important. And we set up like the 8-step method in such a way, like with auditors, so that they can also feel, well, that it's all working. So I'm gonna show you the virtual CSRD consultant. Well, the virtual CSRD consultant is an online environment where you follow the program just as I told you about the 8 steps. It's a sequence program. So here we have all the phases that I talked about earlier. And the good thing is, since we set it up so modular, there are also quite a few organizations that come to us and said like, hey, we already did a double materiality analysis, but we want support to, well, continue now well, from DMA on. So then we say, okay, then we just, let's just start from phase 4 on and no problem. But when we're talking about the double materiality analysis, let's just act like we want to start that one. And it goes as following. No, well, as you see, I already did this one, but normally you would come in this screen and then you see high level what you're going to do in this first phase of the materiality analysis. If you clicked on it, well, we created all kind of videos where we explain to you what you're going to do. You read the text, we put some visuals there. So like what normally a consultant would tell you, now, well, you have to read it, but you just scroll through it and get all the information you need. So, well, you read. There are like sometimes materials included that you can download for yourself or maybe to inform others in your organization and say, hey, I read about this, but here, like download and read this as well because it's important. Well, more information, and this is how you continue. Well, the good thing is, since we have like the standard approach and there are like more than 100 people already trained by us through the Certified Sustainability Reporting Manager program, if you are ever in the position as in, okay, this part of the program is a bit too hard for me, or I don't have enough time, I need someone to assist me on this, then there's always the option to, well, talk about like, hey, I want some support, and then like a freelancer can help you for like a short period of time, or maybe for the rest of that's up to you. However, you don't need extra support since everything is described as what you need to do. Well, then the first part always starts with some, text theory. And then you dive into okay, what are the tasks that you're going to perform in this, this part of the 3.1 of the materiality analysis, high-level description, and the support documents. We have several support documents which are, for the audit trail, they have invitation, like email templates for inviting others or informing others, PowerPoint templates, like white papers. Here is, you can all download them. Here is like the double materiality analysis report, like if you do it according to to what we describe on the platform, it's just a fill-in exercise. If you want to have PowerPoints for presenting results, for example, these are all part of it. So that's how you're gonna, continue. And, for example, if I'm now going to dive into this, okay, informing your C-level, what are you going to do here? And then there is the PowerPoint that you can do. The same for set up your team. Okay, who needs to be in there? Okay, invitation, like, hey, I want you to join. So you don't have to think about the project structure. You just have to follow what's being told here. You can download everything. There's like hours estimation, how to set up folder structure. So like I said, you don't need a consultant to tell you how to set up the sustainability report. The virtual CSRD consultant tells you. Well, that's how the virtual CSRD consultant works. What can also be the case is that you just take loose templates and that you work with those to continue. We created ESRS summaries because the sustainability reporting standards are quite complex in reading, as in, okay, if you talk about it in normal language, what do they want me to do at every ESRS disclosure code? Furthermore, we created policy templates. The ESRS asks you to, describe your policies, but what if you don't have a policy yet? Then you can buy the policy template and just, erase some things that you're like, okay, this is not relevant for our organization, but that you have like this standard way of, which is checked by auditors and by legal departments to, okay, this this does cover me for the sustainable risks that are described there. Furthermore, we also have ESRS reporting templates because it's quite hard to just start from scratch as in, okay, how are we going to do this setting up this report? So that's really about filling in the exercise as an exercise. Okay, describe here your policy on diversity and inclusivity within the organization. Well, if you have the diversity and inclusivity policy, you describe what you implemented there and how you track it, and then, well, you're kind of already quite far with setting up your sustainability report. Furthermore, we have our, well, we call it our custom ESRS requirements list, which is a data definition manual based on your material topics. So when you know your material topics, but you don't know how to make the translation to, well, the ESRS, we created, well, if you send us your material topics list, we create, like we always say, like a data grocery list of what you need to do within, well, like within the working groups, what do you need to collect in order to prepare for sustainability report. Well, if you're not really interested in doing the whole virtual CSRD consultant, like step-by-step approach, or like the templates feel a bit, well, too loose for you, we created several trainings on, well, how to do things for yourself. We have the CSRD Essentials training, which is free if you subscribe to our premium toolbox, which is only like 9.95 euros a month. And then you can have the CSRD Essentials, like a 4-hour training where you learn everything you need to know, like the basics for setting up sustainability reporting. Furthermore, like the role of IT should not be underestimated, and nobody ever tells them what is expected from them. So we created a data collection for IT department e-learning, which is telling them like, hey, how can you best support the organization in setting up well, sustainability data? And furthermore, if people just want to focus on, I want to do the double materiality analysis by myself, but I don't know how, I need more help on this, we made that double materiality analysis online training, which you just saw like a tiny bit already from, to just focus on the DMA itself. So I was expecting a bit more questions during the presentation. So are there any questions now? You can put them in the chat or just unmute yourself. No? Okay, then I think I was quite clear, and I hope that people now feel a bit as in that there is the possibility to to set up sustainability reporting without a consultant. I see Beatrice says, does the reporting take into account local regulations? It's all based on Europe regulations. However, what we do have in our toolbox, which is like for free, where you can find like law updates of, well, what certain companies, local governments do. However, since it's the ESRS is European and everybody needs to, well, report according to the ESRS, it's not really specific to local. However, like the only thing that can differ is maybe like depending on your country, who will be the auditor, but that should be audited, that's for sure. So I hope that answers your question. Setting up the reporting process is not really focused on local, it's more as an organizational thing. Any other questions? No? Well, then I want to thank you all for your attention. Oh, I see Jerry. Do you have a tool for reporting independent of CSRD? Well, you can use the process like for some like just sustainability reporting. We always recommend taking the ESRS as reporting standards anyway, since, well, that's now kind of the European way of reporting about sustainability, and it becomes a bit unlogical if you take like other standards. For the rest, it's really about setting up the process for sustainability reporting. Can be with GRI, if you take like in fourth phase, not the ESRS requirements, but the GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative framework, for example. So yeah, it's whether it's CRD or not, it's about sustainability reporting. Hopefully that answers your question. Number one says, hi, will you provide records of yeah, if you signed up, you get a link towards the link to the recording. How much is it to get you use your tool? The virtual CSRD consultant is 950 euros a month. And well, you don't have to use it forever. It's like helping you to set it up in a way that you can do it yourself without it. So it's more for the first year investment, and then you don't need it anymore. Mike says, if you send out a survey to different stakeholders, so not only suppliers and consumers, how do you make sure that it reaches the right people? When you're going to select the stakeholders, we always say, you set up a list of contacts with contact details and email it to them. So therefore, you maybe need to ask or your procurement or someone else. If you say like different stakeholders, as in, okay, maybe people in the neighborhood, it can be the case that like then someone needs to go with an iPad and ring their doors and, okay, can I ask you a few questions, for example. What we also see is that like a lot of NGOs represent the opinion of a group of people so that you can also ask them. And yeah, and can the data you collect from these surveys be verified? I mean that, I think that you mean whether they're really happening or if it's really the case, because in a way, then we can also discuss, like, if I'm asking you something, are you speaking the truth? So in a way, it's all about like, okay, something is filled in with a perception, and that perception from that person counts, because of course, you have to do benchmarking in the materiality analysis to see, okay, what are risks and opportunities, well, based on data, but also collect stakeholder perception, because they might have a different opinion then, and it's really impacting them as well. Do you also provide ICT tools for this? In our toolbox, we're currently collecting several tools, not that we created ourselves, but others also with like, okay, what's the price range per month? What are the functionalities for every phase? So for the design stage, the implementation stage, and the reporting stage, to make it easier for all the visitors of this toolbox to see, okay, what do I need in which phase? Well, to ease up the process of preparing for sustainability reporting. And this like toolbox, like I said, is free of charge. So definitely sign up for it on our website. Then I think we are out of questions now. So I want to thank you all for your attention. Hopefully this was informing and you, well, you got what you needed information-wise. If you ever want to know more about us, well, like I showed, like book a meeting to discuss, or send us an email at csrd@movetheimpact.com, so that we can respond to your question and maybe help you further. For now, enjoy your evening, and well, wishing you happy Valentine tomorrow. Thank you.